The question is no longer just, what do I do when I wake up? But what kind of mind do I want to create with my mornings? In the quiet moments of dawn, a silent battle is unfolding. One fought not with weapons, but with habits, choices, and attention. This battlefield is the modern morning ritual, where mental autonomy clashes with an invisible tide of societal programming and manipulation. Ancient civilizations once approached the morning as a sacred opportunity, a time to center the mind, to prepare for the day's challenges with intention and clarity. Today, those moments have been infiltrated and transformed. The screen now lights the face of the waking individual, flooding the senses with a barrage of stimuli designed not to liberate, but to capture and control. From the moment eyes open, technology beckons with a siren's call. Notifications, alerts, endless social media scrolls, sensational headlines. These are not neutral. They tap into the brain's craving for novelty and social validation, hijacking the morning's potential for peace and purpose. The dopamine-driven feedback loops keep minds tethered to distraction, anxiety, and passive consumption. Consumer culture amplifies this effect, layering on pressure to perform, to curate an image, to engage relentlessly. The morning becomes less about personal sovereignty and more about meeting external expectations, productivity metrics, social comparisons, the fear of missing out. The rituals of old, rooted in discipline and self-knowledge, are replaced by fragmented, reactive behaviors. But this erosion of autonomy is not inevitable. Amid the noise, there are stories of resistance. Individuals who recognize the battleground and consciously reclaim their mornings. They dismantle the default patterns and build new rituals rooted in self-mastery and mental clarity. Consider the writer who begins each day with meditation and journaling, creating a buffer between the two, mind and the external chaos. Or the entrepreneur who replaces the morning scroll with cold exposure and deliberate movement, igniting resilience and focus. These practices are not mere habits but acts of rebellion against the currents of distraction and control. What these stories reveal is a profound truth. Morning rituals are a site of liberation. They offer a rare chance to rewrite the script before the day's narratives impose themselves. By choosing intention over impulse, presence over distraction, individuals carve out mental space to think freely, feel deeply, and act deliberately. The struggle over our mornings mirrors larger battles for autonomy in society. As media and technology grow ever more invasive, the first moments of the day become a front line for reclaiming control over our minds and, ultimately, our lives. Yet the path to freedom begins quietly. It requires awareness, noticing how mornings shape moods and mindsets, and courage to break conditioned loops. It demands consistent effort, patience, and the willingness to confront discomfort that arises when familiar distractions are removed. In reclaiming morning rituals, individuals unlock the potential to resist conformity, question dominant narratives, and nurture independent thought. This silent revolution, starting with simple acts of discipline and mindfulness, has the power to ripple outward, transforming not just personal lives, but the fabric of society. The question remains, will you surrender your mornings to the forces of distraction and control, or will you rise, reclaim your dawn, and forge a new path of mental freedom? Reclaiming. Your mornings is not about rigid routines or overwhelming lists of tasks. It is about intention, a conscious choice to begin each day by priming your mind for clarity, balance, and resilience. The power lies in small, deliberate actions that, over time, rewire your brain and reshape your reality. First, consider mindful breathing. Something as simple as slow, deep breaths upon waking can calm the nervous system and anchor your awareness. It signals to your brain that this moment is one of presence, not panic. This quiet pause allows space for clarity before the noise begins. Next, journaling offers a powerful tool to externalize thoughts and emotions. Writing down your intentions, fears, or reflections helps to map the subconscious landscape. It brings hidden patterns to light and sets a purposeful direction for the day. This act of conscious expression can shift mental habits away from reactive chaos toward intentional creation. Movement, whether gentle stretching or more vigorous exercise, engages the body's energy and wakes up the mind. Ancient practices like yoga or qigong illustrate how physical flow connects to mental flow. Movement releases endorphins and creates a positive momentum that colors your entire day. Cold exposure, a shock to the system, jolts you awake in a way that clears mental fog and builds resilience. A cold shower or even a splash of cold water on the face triggers physiological responses that increase alertness and reduce stress hormones. This ancient practice, once revered by monks and warriors alike, remains a potent tool for modern mental conditioning. Equally important is a deliberate digital detox. Resist the urge to check your phone or social media first thing. The digital noise primes the mind for distraction and anxiety. Instead, create a buffer, a sacred time of at least 30 minutes where your mind is free from external inputs. This space allows your brain to settle and orient itself on your own terms. These practices are not prescriptions but invitations. You may begin with one or two, experimenting and adjusting what feels authentic and sustainable. The key is consistency and patience. Neuroscience teaches us that rewiring the brain is a gradual process. Small, repeated acts build new pathways that eventually become automatic. The morning ritual is your daily reset button, a chance to dismantle mental conditioning that limits freedom and replace it with habits that cultivate autonomy. It is less about perfection and more about presence. Each morning offers a new opportunity to reclaim agency over your mind, and through that, your life. Remember, transformation is not instantaneous, but over weeks and months, the cumulative effect of these intentional moments can spark profound psychological shifts. The power to reframe your reality, to escape cycles of anxiety and distraction, begins with how you greet the dawn. Rewire your mind, and you reclaim not just your morning, but your entire existence. Morning rituals are more than habits. They are the quiet revolution within each of us. In reclaiming those first moments of the day, we begin to wrest control from a world that seeks to shape our minds without consent. This isn't just about waking up earlier or adopting a routine. It's about awakening to our own power, reclaiming agency in a time when distraction, manipulation, and internal inertia threaten to consume us. Reprogramming your morning is the first step toward reprogramming your life. When you choose clarity over chaos, presence over distraction, you begin to reshape not just your internal landscape, but your worldview. The way you greet the dawn ripples outward, influencing your thoughts, decisions, and the very way you engage with a fragmented, manipulated world. This act of reclaiming is not simple or easy. It requires courage to confront the conditioned loops that have held you captive. It demands patience as you build new neural pathways through consistent, intentional action. Yet, it is also profoundly hopeful. A chance to reclaim your mental sovereignty and to step into a new paradigm of conscious living. So rise, not just from your bed, but from the fog of passive existence. Rise with intention. Rise with purpose. Let the power of the dawn ignite a fire within you that cannot be dimmed by the noise of the outside world. Because the mind you reclaim in the morning is the life you reclaim by nightfall. The choice is yours. Will you surrender your mornings to the relentless tide of distraction, or will you stand quiet and resolute and reclaim the power of the dawn and, ultimately, your life? Every morning, millions of people wake up to a routine so familiar, so automatic, it goes unquestioned. The alarm sounds, eyes flicker open, and without a moment's thought, fingers reach out, not for a glass of water or a breath of fresh air, but for a glowing screen. Scrolling begins. News feeds, notifications, endless streams of distraction, flooding the mind before it's even fully awake. But what if this seemingly innocent morning ritual isn't as harmless as it seems? What if this first act of the day, repeated day after day, is quietly shaping your entire experience of reality? More than just habit, it's conditioning, a powerful programming of your subconscious. Your mornings become the silent architects of your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs. It is here, in these early moments before you've consciously engaged with the world, that your mind is most vulnerable, most open to influence. And the forces that shape our modern lives know this well. The morning hours have become a battleground between mental captivity and liberation. Because your morning ritual can either enslave you, chaining you to cycles of anxiety, distraction, and conformity, or it can be your greatest tool to reclaim control over your mind, to reclaim your clarity, to reclaim your power. In a world overflowing with noise, manipulation, and relentless demands, the question is not trivial. What do you allow into your mind at the dawn of your day? What narrative do you feed your consciousness before the chaos begins? The answer will ripple through every thought, every decision, every action that follows. For those who remain passive, the morning becomes a trap, a slow erosion of autonomy and inner freedom. But for those who awaken with intention, who master their first moments, morning becomes a secret weapon, a catalyst for transformation. This is the hidden power of morning rituals, not mere routines, but the keys to rewiring your mind. Over the next chapters, we will uncover how ancient civilizations harnessed this power, how modern psychology reveals its profound impact, and how you too can transform your mornings to reclaim your mind and reshape your reality. Because what you do with the dawn may well determine who you become by dusk. For millennia, dawn has held a sacred place in human life, a threshold between darkness and light, chaos and order, sleep and wakefulness. Ancient civilizations recognized this moment as more than just the start of a new day. They saw it as a powerful opportunity for transformation, a chance to align mind, body, and spirit before the world demanded their attention. The Egyptians, for example, greeted the sunrise with rituals that honored the rebirth of the sun, god Ra. This daily renewal was not mere superstition, but a profound recognition of cycles, of death and rebirth, of the eternal dance between light and shadow within each person. Their morning rituals involved meditation, prayer, and physical purification, preparing themselves to face the day with purpose and clarity. Across the Mediterranean, the Greeks embraced a similar reverence for the morning. Philosophers like Socrates and Plato practiced disciplines that began at dawn: reflective contemplation, journaling thoughts, and setting intentions. The Stoics, in particular, saw morning as the perfect time to prepare the mind for life's inevitable hardships. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, wrote about greeting the day with resolve, reminding himself to remain virtuous despite external turmoil. This discipline was not about rigidity, but about cultivating awareness and intentionality, a mental armor forged before the world's chaos began. Farther east, ancient Eastern traditions echoed these themes. Taoist and Buddhist monks greeted the morning with silent meditation, breathing exercises, and mindful movement. For them, the early hours were sacred, a time to harmonize inner energy and align with the natural flow of life, to awaken not just the body, but consciousness itself. The morning ritual was a spiritual practice, a gateway to higher awareness and calm. These traditions reveal a deep truth often forgotten today. Morning rituals were never trivial routines or mere time fillers. They were essential acts of mental and spiritual preparation, tightly woven into the fabric of societal order and personal well-being. They were tools to cultivate clarity, resilience, and connection to something greater than the self. In stark contrast, our modern mornings often resemble fragmented chaos. The sacred moments of dawn have been replaced by frantic screen time, rushed breakfasts, and a flood of notifications demanding immediate attention. The discipline and reverence of ancient mornings have been diluted by distraction and haste. What has been lost is not just a habit, It is a lost gateway to mental clarity and inner strength. By understanding how these ancient cultures harnessed the dawn, we begin to see morning rituals not as outdated traditions, but as profound psychological tools. They offer a path back to intentional living, a way to reclaim control over our minds before the day's pressures take hold. If we can learn from the past, we might rediscover how the simple act of greeting the morning can become a powerful foundation for resisting the chaos of the modern world. A quiet rebellion that begins at first light. Our brains are not static machines, but living, evolving systems, constantly shaped by experience and behavior. One of the most remarkable features of the human mind is neuroplasticity. The brain's ability to rewire itself, to form new neural pathways in response to what we repeatedly do, think, and feel. Morning rituals are uniquely positioned to tap into this incredible capacity. When you wake up, your brain is in a heightened state of plasticity, a sort of mental blank slate. The first actions and thoughts you engage in don't just fill the day. They prime your entire neural landscape. They shape how you perceive yourself, your environment, and your possibilities. This is the power of conditioning, a process through which repeated behaviors reinforce specific patterns in the subconscious. If your morning routine is passive and chaotic, scrolling through anxiety-inducing news, reacting to endless notifications, rushing without focus, you are unknowingly programming your mind to expect stress, distraction, and fragmentation. The subconscious absorbs these signals and reinforces limiting beliefs that you are powerless, overwhelmed, or trapped in cycles beyond your control. The other hand, deliberate and mindful morning practices can cultivate resilience, clarity, and empowerment. Research in psychology shows that small, intentional actions such as deep breathing, journaling, or movement can trigger neurochemical changes, releasing dopamine, serotonin, and other mood-regulating neurotransmitters. These shifts create positive feedback loops, strengthening neural pathways associated with focus, calm, and motivation. Our circadian rhythm, the internal clock governing sleep and wakefulness, also plays a crucial role. In the hours after waking, the brain is particularly malleable. This window is an opportunity to prime the mind, setting the emotional tone and cognitive framework for the day ahead. Studies indicate that morning exposure to natural light, combined with mindful routines, optimizes this priming effect, enhancing alertness and emotional regulation. Yet this vulnerability cuts both ways. External forces, media, advertising, social pressures, are acutely aware of the impressionable state of the morning mind. They exploit this window to implant narratives that serve collective agendas: consumerism, fear, conformity. The flood of sensational headlines, targeted ads, and social validation loops subtly hijack the brain's plasticity, steering thoughts and behaviors toward compliance and distraction. This manipulation of subconscious programming is not accidental. It is a quiet war for control over perception and belief. Your morning habits become a front line, where either passive consumption or active agency takes hold. Understanding these mechanisms reveals why morning rituals matter so deeply. They are not mere routines, but powerful interventions in the ongoing conditioning of your mind. Each morning choice is a brushstroke in the mental portrait you paint of yourself and the world. To reclaim your mind is to reclaim these early moments, to deliberately shape your neuroplastic landscape rather than surrender it to chaos. It is to harness the brain's incredible capacity for change, turning small, consistent actions into profound psychological transformation.